The FBI arrested a judge in Wisconsin for breaking the law. I don't know if you knew this. Judges aren't immune from the law. Also, the White House Correspondents' Dinner took place over the weekend, and while it was a big eye-roll and snooze fest, even they admitted something that they haven't admitted in the past. And also, the White House has new lawn decorations, which are so exciting and just trolling the libs super hard. All that and more coming up on this episode of Turning Point Tonight. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Together, we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. This is Turning Point Tonight. Now, before we get to any of those stories, we have to talk about the big news of the day that all of the big lib media outlets have run with. The Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC have all had the headline, United States citizens deported by the Trump administration. Oh no, that actually would be terrible. If the United States was deporting its citizens, well, that would be a problem. Here's the thing, it's not actually what's happening, such is the case so many times when the lib media has a big story that we're running with. What actually happened is that three kids, I think 2 years old, 3 years old, and 7 years old, went with their mothers while they were being deported in the state of Louisiana. Their mothers, who were here illegally, were rounded up by ICE and, hey, you're not supposed to be here. They didn't have a good reason for being here and were sent off to where they came from. I believe one was from Honduras and maybe it was the other one too, but again, it doesn't really matter in the scope of this. But the big lib media outlet said, well, we deported American citizens, and there are so many flaws with that. First things first, the big contention that they are making is, well, one of the little girl's dads signed a petition to try and keep her in the country. And while that's all great, the dad won't actually talk about whether or not he's in the country legally. So it could be that both of these parents are here illegally and the kid had a birthright citizenship, which is why she's an American citizen. And again, I'm not a proponent of deporting American citizens, but at the same time, we got to get our facts straight. There's also the issue of birthright citizenship. President Trump has talked about getting rid of birthright citizenship, meaning if you're born in the United States, you automatically get all of the rights of U.S. citizens. And while that has been in place for a very long time, the libs are saying, I can't believe we're considering getting rid of this. Just for reference, I'm going to list off some countries that don't have sole birthright citizenship. Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, Switzerland, United Kingdom, just to name a few. In other words, if we got rid of the whole birthright citizenship, it wouldn't be that uncommon, especially across first world countries. Another thing is, well, what else would happen if those kids didn't go with their mothers? We're either going to get, by the liberal media, tarred and feathered with the idea of, I can't believe we deported American citizens. Okay, well, let's just keep them here then. I can't believe they separated those kids from their mothers. It's a lose-lose situation if you're looking at it through the media lens, and, well, conservatives never win in the big lib media sector. The last thing that I'll get to before we bring in our guests, and this, I don't know, may be controversial, but the mother is right. Both of the mothers that took their kids with them when they got deported are correct. If you are a pro-family like I am, and I'm in the situation where somehow my wife, let's not even say getting deported, just is moving and she didn't take our kids with her, that would be weird. It's good that those mothers decided to take their kids with them because at the end of the day, an intact family, no matter where they are in the world, is better than effectively the United States keeping some American citizen because of birthright citizenship rather than just letting him go with the mother. So the mother is right in this situation. A lot of factors to get to, and we want to get to those with our fantastic guest today, host of the Hannah Faulkner Show. It is Hannah Faulkner, and also Savannah Blaes, political commentator, conservative, Instagram, TikToker, all of the other things. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Hannah, this story, I was getting like just ding, ding, ding. I have all of the big lib media outlets that are on my phone and I get notifications all the time. We deported American citizens. Can you kind of help set the record straight here? What's going on? Did you see all the lefty media taking this story and running with it over the weekend?
Oh man, I just saw bits and pieces here and there, but I wanted to ask this. Okay, so first off, is the media complaining about the fact that the mom is taking the so-called American citizens with them back to their country? Is that what they're complaining about?
Yeah, I think so. No, they're complaining that the Trump administration, quote unquote, deported American citizens, which isn't the case. They're complaining about something that's not true, which is such as the case with the libs.
I think this is funny. The irony of the whole situation, the hypocrisy here is just a few months ago, the Democrats and left-wing media were complaining that President Trump was going to separate families, we're going to separate the moms from the children. And now when the moms are taking their children with them, just to, even if they were born in the United States, regardless, they're still taking their kids with them because those are their children. Now they're complaining because we're deporting so-called American citizens. But this is just another story, another headline of the propaganda machine, the communist propaganda machine, as I call it, twisting and distorting the facts. And, it's interesting. We are the most technologically advanced society. We have more media than ever in human history, and people still believe these headlines. We have more information, more headlines than we've ever seen in American history, and people still do not even know the truth. It's very hard. I mean, you said this before the show. I mean, it is nonstop news, nonstop headlines. People can't keep up.
Yeah, and unfortunately today, the news comes with homework, because if you just read the Washington Post headlines, you would probably rightfully be appalled. But if you dig just a little bit further, you go, oh, okay, this makes sense. Savannah, I want to play this clip from Tom Homan, the border czar here, on a 60 Minutes interview last year, talking about how families can be kept together through the deportation process. Watch this.
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Because the big thing was, well, they're separating families, which of course is a ridiculous comment, because if you get arrested for anything, you get separated from your kids, and they should be. But at the same time, Savannah, the libs are up in arms about this. Give us your thoughts about the whole situation. Is Tom Homan correct in this? How should we look at this?
I think he's absolutely correct. I think that, the parents knew the consequences of coming here illegally, and they have put their children in a compromising position. So if anything, people should be mad with the parents, not our legal system. If a parent were to go to jail, they're not bringing their children with them to jail. I'd hope not. But of course, if they get deported, they're going to want to bring their children with them. They're not going to want to leave them alone in the United States. I mean, children have to have a guardian, right? But even if they left their children here, then they would say in the tagline, they're separating families. How dare them? It's like it's a lose-lose situation. You can't win either way. They're always going to make something up in the media. And it's one thing to exaggerate, but it's another thing to flat out lie. And like you said, we have Google at our fingertips. We can find the truth in these stories, but they always want to spin the narrative and make it look bad.
Yeah, at some point, just an exaggeration to the extent that they do it is, in fact, a lie in and of itself. Couldn't agree more. And also, yeah, parents are the ones putting their kids in this sort of position. Hey, maybe don't come into a country illegally and you won't have to deal with any of this stuff. Speaking of people coming into the country illegally, the FBI, the libs made a big, fiasco about this over the weekend too, because a judge in Wisconsin was arrested by FBI. Now, just so everybody knows, the Constitution doesn't explicitly limit judges from being prosecuted. If a judge breaks a law, well, it's still, the law is being broken and you have to prosecute. A judge named Hannah Dugan in Milwaukee County was arrested on Friday by the FBI for allegedly obstructing federal authorities from arresting an illegal immigrant in her courtroom. Guys, or the FBI or ICE was outside of the courtroom, and she said, hey, sneak through this little door right over here, and everything should be good. And now the libs are saying this is an unprecedented attack, an escalation of the Trump administration. Hannah, the facts seem to be pretty airtight here. This judge tried to aid the illegal immigrant from evading authorities. Does this seem justified to you?
It's interesting. I saw a comparison. There was a liberal Democrat, one of those paid DNC shills, posting on their X account that, you're arresting judges now, which, like you mentioned, these judges kind of think that they're above the law. No one is above the law. We are all are under the law equally, as it says in our Constitution. But unfortunately, many of these activist Democrat judges think that they hold some level of immunity above the law. But anyways, I saw this X account, this X tweet, and this person said, we're arresting judges now. Then the response was, well, we arrested President Trump. We tried to put President Trump, a former president, in prison. So it's interesting, again, another layer of hypocrisy from the Democratic Party. But yeah, I mean, these judges are out of hand. The last time I came on your show, show, we were also talking about a judge who was citing a Broadway show in her brief. I mean, these judges have totally lost their minds. You mentioned this, they are activist judges, they are politically motivated, and they deserve to be held accountable for their actions if they do not follow and understand the Constitution. It's that simple.
Yeah, activist legal system on both sides. When it was President Trump, they just made up some random legal theory and said, okay, well, if this connects to this, everyone thought it was bogus. And now this judge looks like she actually did something wrong. And now they're up in arms because how dare you prosecute someone who broke the law in this country? Savannah, the judge according to NBC, was a longtime social justice advocate before she took the bench. Does it surprise anybody across this country that the people that maneuver from the social justice advocacy into actual positions of authority, don't know how to wield that authority?
Oh no, it doesn't surprise me at all. And the fact is that it was actually a domestic violence case. It wasn't even an immigration case, which is what I find so interesting. U.S. immigration showed up and, she snuck him out of the jury exit to avoid the cops. But it's just crazy because this is not the first illegal immigrant this week who's been caught beating a woman that the left has still turned a blind eye to protect a political narrative.
That's actually a fascinating point. Yeah, if it's a domestic violence case, she's protecting two different types of lawbreaker in one particular individual. That's a good point. Savannah and Hannah, thanks guys for joining us. They will be right back after the break to discuss more of what's going on, including the fact that the White House has new lawn decorations. We'll check in and see what's going on at the White House. It's a fun one. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.